Welcome, everybody. My name is TJ Burton from the Toronto Blue Jays, and we're here to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Negro Leagues. And for that, we have a very special guest, Hall of Famer Tim Raines. Thanks for being here, Rock.
Thanks for having me, guys.
What comes to mind when someone asks you about the Negro Leagues?
Well, the first thing comes to mind is, the struggles those guys had, trying to get to the major leagues. As far as the league is concerned, they had a great time playing against each other. But I think, all in all, that's one of the same opportunities as all the other, white players that were playing at the major league level. So, as a youngster, and I grew up in the 60s, so I kind of knew, what was going on back in those days. Then, as a infant, you don't know that much about what was going on, but you can actually see, you had, the black players playing in one league and you had the white players playing in another league. So, as a kid, that was all you knew. We felt like that was the way it was supposed to be. And so I guess that's what I think about when I think about the Negro Leagues.
Next question. When you started playing, what did you know about the Negro Leagues, and what did you learn as your career went on?
Well, I knew there was a lot of great players. As a kid, you wonder why, there's so many great players playing in different leagues, recognizing that one league was black and one league was white. I didn't really understand, like I said, I was still, an infant, why it was that way. But as I got older, I learned why. And I remember when I first started playing Little League Baseball, it was the same way. I played in a league with all black kids. There was no white kids. But as I got older, I would say at the age of 12, 11, 12, it was the first time I moved to a different league where I was the only, me and my brother was the only black players in the whole league. So I guess in hindsight, I kind of look at it like, being the Jackie Robinson of playing in the Little League. It was something that, like I said earlier, that I felt like was supposed to be. But, like I said, as I got older at 13, started playing in predominantly all white league, but myself and my brother and one other in the whole league was playing in that league. So, it was good to know once I got older and started playing in high school, and from high school I got drafted, that Jackie Robinson paved the way for a lot of young African American athletes, or baseball players, to get an opportunity to play at the major league level.
Outside of the big names in the Negro Leagues like Jackie Robinson, Josh Gibson, and Satchel Paige, was there any other players from that era that stuck out that impacted your career?
Well, the one come to mind, there's a couple really, but the first one come to mind is Cool Papa Bell. Cool Papa Bell was that player that was very, very fast. I mean, there's a joke that they talk about with Cool Papa Bell. They said he could turn the light on, turn the light off, and be in bed before the light goes out. So, and not only that, when I started playing at the major league level, a lot of the black players and even some of the white players used to joke with me about being that type of player. The cool, they actually used to call me Cool Papa Bill, and I enjoyed that. I mean, I enjoyed that the players recognized me as one of those guys. But I also remember, of course, Jackie and Hank Aaron and Willie Mays. Uh, those guys became great major league players. But those guys also started in the Negro League. So when it comes to being great black players and that had played in the Negro League, I had the opportunity to talk to some of them about that. And when you talk about Hank Aaron, he was very young, playing in the Negro League and got the opportunity to play at the major league level. Willie Mays is another one. So um, I got the opportunity to talk with them about that. So it was interesting to actually get a chance to talk with guys that actually did play in the major league. I mean, in the Negro League.
Next question. You just kind of talked about, a meaningful conversation that you had with some of those guys. Could you talk about one in particular that stuck out to you that really impacted you about what it was like to play in the Negro Leagues?
Well, the one stick out the most is Hank Aaron. Really, Hank was one of my favorite players. Actually, living and growing up in Florida, in the South, where I went through segregation right around high school. So growing up in the South, it was tough growing up in the South because you had the whites on one side and you had the blacks on the other side. So you kind of grew up in your lane, so to speak. Segregation came. Then it took a while to adjust to segregating. Obviously there was a lot of tension at first, and eventually we kind of got over it. But talking to those guys about that, it was quite interesting. I didn't want to kind of dive too deep into the conversations. But, I kind of let those guys tell me what they wanted to tell me. And I kind of knew, like I said, I kind of knew a little bit about it because, I grew up in the South as well. So, but it was interesting, it was interesting in the fact that, they had to be so much better than, their counterparts. And, they had to prove that they wasn't just good. They pretty much almost had to be superstars. And but it paved the way for guys like myself and Dawson, all the black athletes that came after them. But still, we as black athletes and black baseball players knew that it was going to be that way. I mean, we had to be, maybe 4 times better than the guy that we were, fighting against for a position. So, but it was all good for me. I've always felt like, I enjoyed the competition. I enjoyed competing. I enjoyed, regardless of who was on the other side. It'd be black, white, it'd be Hispanic or whatever. That was the mindset that I had. And I think that was sort of the mindset I think the Negro League guys had. And I think obviously they wanted to prove that they could play at the major league level.
That's great. Can you talk to us a little bit about what impact you think the Negro Leagues had on future generations of black players in the major leagues?
Oh, big impact. Without them, who knows, if it would be the way that it is now. Obviously, time, you know, would have told. Um, as times are different now. I mean, obviously, I would say in the '80s there was a lot more black players playing. Now it's not as many. I think the total of black players playing at the major league level now is down to like maybe 7-8%. I remember in the '80s and '90s it was much higher than that. So I think we have gotten to the point to where we need to continue to give opportunities to the black athletes. I think also there's so many other sports that black athletes are playing. And I think they feel like, if I was a football player coming out of high school, out of college, I go right to the major leagues or to the NFL. Coming out of college in basketball, you kind of go right to the NFL. In baseball, you pretty much got to go through a system, uh, and you pretty much have to prove yourself that you belong. I think over the past few years, players are seeing that the best opportunities are in other sports, and hopefully we can get those guys who are baseball players back into baseball, and seeing that those players get a lot more opportunities.
Sounds good, Brock. Next question. On opening day, you saw the opening ceremonies where the players were standing united. Can you talk to us about your views and your impressions of the Black Lives Matter movement happening in baseball right now?
I'm actually proud. I'm actually proud, and actually proud to be a black man in America, to see what is going on right now. It's for me. I feel like it's about time. I think it took something horrible as guys being murdered by police for us to get to this. I'm sure there've been other chances in the past where we've tried to show the disparities between black and white in America. Um, you know, Hopefully this time we can break through. I think there've been other times, uh, as where we've been trying to say that, and this time around that we can push through and pass some legislations that everybody in America is should be the same. You know, I'm really not a politician or know that much about politics, but I know as a human being uh, that everyone uh, has red blood. When they bleed the same color. Uh, Even though we're not have the same color in flesh, we're all human beings. And I think when America can recognize that everybody is the same, hopefully I'll be alive when still be alive when that happens. I'll be a proud man in America.
That's awesome, Rock. With less than 10% of major league players being black, is there something that you would like to see MLB do to attract more black youth to the game of baseball?
Um, I think so. I think as in America, um, most black people live in poverty. They can't afford a lot of things uh, that could give them opportunities to play certain sports. Um, I know in baseball, you know, it's quite expensive to join a club, uh, to pay for equipment, to do a lot of things that you know you need to put yourself in position uh, to be a player. And I think there's something that hopefully maybe Major League Baseball can put together where um, we can kind of make it equal all over the country, not just in certain areas, uh, to give help to those players and those kids who actually want to become players. Uh, so uh, you know, maybe have clinics throughout the country, have um, places where kids can go and feel comfortable to, you know, go on a playground and throw the ball around and hit the balls around certain fields and give them just opportunities to get out of the streets. I mean, it's expensive. It's something that a lot of Black kids don't have the finances to be able to uh, participate. And I just hope maybe you know, Major League Baseball can provide a format where we can kind of get to those kids and give them more of an opportunity to have an opportunity to play.
Those are all great suggestions. Well, that was awesome, Rock. I really appreciate you stopping by to talk about the 100th anniversary of the Negro Leagues. I hope you and the family are staying safe, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.